Hi everybody, Big V here. Today we're talking teams, and we're going to deal with one of the hardest concepts of being a team leader in real estate. And as I get into this, what makes the difference between a salaried employee and a 1099 subcontractor, and how do you determine what you're going to hire next? I promise that whatever information I give you, I'm going to challenge you to make sure you check with your local and state laws and make sure you're in compliance with what those regulations are. Generally, here's the difference between a salaried employee and a 1099. A salaried employee is someone who works for you, who you provide a place to work. They have to show up at a specified time. You give them their work equipment, their computer, and their resources, and you control what they do during their day. A 1099 employee may work for you and other people at the same time. You don't get to control their work schedule. They can come and go as they please. And generally, a subcontractor has more flexibility. They provide their own transportation, their own computers, or their own video equipment, whatever that role happens to be. Let me give you an example. So in most real estate teams, real estate assistants, when you hire your client care coordinator, your transaction coordinator, that's generally an employee. Whether they're part-time or full-time, they're coming to work for you for a specific job, and you have compensation associated with that. With that compensation, you're doing employee withholding and taxes and Social Security and FICA, all of those things that are required as an employer. We use employee leasing company so that we don't have to do all that internally, and an outsourced third-party company actually hires our employees and handles all the payroll because I don't want to deal with it. When it comes to 1099 contractors, a good example of a 1099 contractor might be the person who videos all your homes. And so you don't need them until you have a home that's listed. And so you have a 1099 contractor that goes out and does all the video and creates the video edits of your virtual tours, maybe even does your social media posting. Another example of a 1099 oftentimes would be a buyer's agent or a listing partner. Buyer's agents and listing partners on a real estate team, you don't control it, but you do have more control when they're just with an agent. We're finding more and more teams are looking at a salaried agent model because they're concerned about the regulations associated with buyer's agents. See, here's what we've learned. We've learned that when we require agents to come in for a daily huddle, role plays, they have to prospect for an hour, they then get on the phones and they do all of those things, and it's required every single day at a certain time, it starts to create a fuzzy line between employee versus subcontractor. And I don't like to bend the rules, and I don't like to put my team leaders at risk. So many of our team leaders today are looking at what we call a salaried agent model, where they put them on salary, they pay a minimum salary, and then a commission for what's being done. With all of the lawsuits and with all of the things that have happened recently in real estate, you saw that Anywhere.com paid out $85 million, that RE/MAX paid out $55 million in a lawsuit stating that buyer's agents, it's not required by the listing agent to pay a 3% to the buyer's agent, and that everything is negotiable. We've always known it's negotiable, but the consumer wasn't always disclosed that. And so rather than putting their agents at risk, these companies chose to protect their agents and settle the lawsuit and protect them from future litigation. I think it was visionary leadership on both the parts of the CEOs that have created these settlements. But what that means is it's going to change the nature of how real estate is done going forward, especially in how buyer's agency is considered. So right now, let me give you an example how we do buyer's agents. The way we compensate buyer's agents is we want our team leaders to be at a 50% profit after the cost of sale. So we pay a buyer's agent 40% on the first 2 deals they do in a month, 45% on deals 3 and 4, and then they get 50-50 splits on deals 5+. And every month it resets. This incentivizes the behavior that we want, which is to generate a minimum of 2 transactions a month or 24 deals a year. A good buyer's agent on a Workman coach team should be able to earn at least $100,000 a year. If they're not making $100,000, then our job as a leader is to get them there. And we get them there by pouring into them, by hiring the right people, and by creating an environment where they choose accountability and they are more likely to have success. In the new model of real estate, and this is me just talking about what may happen, I think we're going to see downward pressure on commissions being paid to buyer's agent, and that the listing agent is going to be required to work the both sides of more transactions because they're not offering a co-op to the buyer agent on the other side. So what that means is all the leads off of a listing is going to come to the listing agent, and then the listing agent is going to have people to go out and show homes while they negotiate and try and put deals together. I believe that that environment is going to be way more conducive to a salaried agent model, where we pay them a salary to open doors and show homes where they have to be licensed, and when they close, they might get a little bit of a bonus. That model model of the salaried agent is going to be required because we're going to have them do certain things in the business that a subcontractor chooses to do or not do. It's also going to change the nature of the real estate landscape because it's going to require us to do a lot more transactions to make the same amount of money. And the only way I know how to do that is to create scale. So if you're wondering what's going to happen with the business, if you're trying to figure out whether to pay people subcontract or whether you're going to put them on salary, I can't give you all of those answers. All I can tell you is that we look at every situation as its own unique problem. And then we ask the question, what makes the most sense for the best way to be profitable and do the right thing in your business? Other things that we talk about that make a big difference. We recently did a team study where we paid a third-party company to come in and study the impact of real estate teams on the industry. We learned that according to this study, and I'm going to give you 5 things, let me share them with you. Number 1 is that team members want a strategic plan and clearly defined goals as to where the team is going. They don't want to wonder what's next. Number 2 is they want a team leader that is results oriented. They measure success by the results of the team members, not the team leader. One of the biggest mistakes team leaders make is they hire people so that they can get more awards, or they can feed their ego, or they can make more money. What a great leader does is says, I want to serve more people, I want to change the community and help more families in the community, and I want to serve the agents who work with me by helping them create a level of income that they never thought was possible. As a leader, if you come from a servant's heart and your real, genuine, sincere desires to make a difference in the lives of the people you serve, you're going to attract better people, you're going to reduce your turnover, and you'll be able to determine what makes the most sense, whether it's a salaried agent or whether they're on a 1099. The next thing we found is that team members want a collaborative environment. They want to have input. I want you to think about that. I didn't grow up in a collaborative space. I grew up at a time when you went into a real estate office and you talked to a broker, we negotiated on having a private office. Now when we negotiate, we want room for our team. The young people today, the millennials and the next generation, they all have grown up in collaborative spaces with Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and Be Real. They want to have interaction from everybody in the world, the way they get their answers to questions in a collaborative place. But yet they're dealing with people from my generation, the end of the baby boomers, who didn't grow up in that collaborative space. So as leaders, we have to create an environment that allows people to be comfortable based on who they are instead of trying to make them conform as to who we were back in the day. The world is changing and we have to change the way we communicate, and the environment that we create needs to be collaborative. The next thing the young people told us is this, is they want mentoring and coaching. People want to be coached. How many of you have a vision of a team? It could be a rec team or a competitive team in sports where there's a person on the end of the bench that can hardly stand it. They're like, come on, coach, put me in, coach. I want to come in, coach. I want to get in. That's who I want on my team, is I want that person who has the fire in their belly to just get in and make a difference. They just want a chance. And if they want that chance and we develop them and we work with them and we train them, then all of a sudden we'll begin to see their production not just increase a little bit, but massively increase. The last thing they want is they want an example of true leadership. And this goes for all you broker owners that are out there. Many broker owners like to say, oh, I don't compete with my agents. I'm a non-competing broker. Well, guess what? Your agents don't want to know what you did 25 years ago. They want to see that you're relevant today, that you can run a business, that you can be successful with it. A lot of our broker owners today are now running 7-figure teams within their brokerage, even though they choose not to get back in production themselves. And the reason is because they want to have a team that's structured and run correctly so that the other agents in the office can see the example of how to do it right. Having a team is a phenomenal thing. I can't imagine being in business without a team anymore. They're so complex. There's so many things that happen in order to hit the level of success that we create with our clients that doing it by yourself doesn't make any sense anymore. Teams are the future of real estate. If you don't have a team, it might be time that you talk to one of our coaches at workmansuccess.com. Click down below and you can get a link to schedule a free consultation. Now let's talk about the real challenge. The real challenge when hiring and developing people is what do you do in the first 30, 60, and 90 days? So the first 30 days, what I tell my team leaders is it's your job to get that agent under contract because we lead with revenue. You want to keep agents longer? Help them make money. What a novel concept. If they're not making any money, what do you think their chances of them staying are? If they're able to stay for 90 days or 6 months and they don't make any money, you probably don't have the right people because they're not hungry enough. I want people that come in that have bills to pay. They want to pay their rent, their mortgage payment, their car payment. They want to get married. They want to move on with their life. Whatever it is, I need them hungry. If they're not hungry, they won't do the work. And then I'm going to lead with revenue and get them under contract if I can in the first 30 days. In the first 30, 60, 90 days, we've developed a program called the 30, 60, 90 onboarding, where we break down everything I want new people to do on the team the first 30 days on a daily basis, the second 30 days, and the third 30 days. Leading with revenue, getting into production, and making a difference in their lives. Are you ready to change change the lives of your agents? Maybe it's time to get rid of some of the agents that have been sitting around too long, not making any money, and onboard some new ones. Or maybe we just fire everybody and then hire them back and put them through the 30, 60, 90 onboarding program and tell them that they got 30 days to get under contract, and then work with them, develop them, and pour into them as you help them grow. Click right below to schedule a free coaching consult. You can also click on the link below to download our free 30, 60, 90-day onboarding as you decide how you're going to hire and develop people, whether they're contractors, whether they're employees. What really matters is you do the right thing at the right time for the right people.